Hercules from Stories of Old Greece and Rome, public domain reading. At the court of Eurystheus was the king's beautiful daughter, Admete, who loved purple and fine linen, and decked herself with all the jewels that her father's wealth could command. One day Admete heard of a traveler telling wonderful tales of the girdle that was worn by Hippolyte, the queen of the Amazons, and at once the spoiled princess demanded of her father that he send Hercules to procure for her the coveted girdle. And so the hero set out again, accompanied by his friend Iolaus, and after a hard and perilous journey, came to the country of the Amazons. These were a fierce, warlike nation of women, who kept in their tribe only the girls who were born among them, and disposed of the boys by killing them, or by giving them to the neighboring peoples. The girls were trained in severe military discipline, and became a race of very redoubtable warriors, who no king dared to treat with contempt. When Hercules came before Queen Hippolyte, she received him kindly, listened to the explanation of his visit, and even promised to give him the girdle that the selfish Admete coveted. Before the hero and his friend set out on their journey homeward, the queen entertained them royally with feasting and games that lasted several days. Meantime, Juno saw an opportunity for indulging her hatred of Hercules, and taking the form of an Amazon, she mingled freely with the women. By pretending to have received a heaven-sent message, she persuaded them that the stranger had used the girdle as a mere pretext for his visit, and that his real intention was to carry off the queen. The Amazon believed this artfully contrived report, and rushed in a body to protect their queen Hippolyte. They attacked Hercules fiercely, but he beat them off, and finally escaped with his friend, but not before he had killed several of the Amazons, including the queen, who had befriended him. With the dearly bought girdle he returned homeward, and on the way he heard the proclamation of Laomedon that whoever would save his daughter Hesione from the sea monster should receive a large reward. Hercules killed the beast and freed the maiden, but then was obliged to leave. He had to leave Troy without the promised gold that Laomedon promised him because of Laomedon's perfidy and greed. When the ancients looked each evening at the glowing west, they pictured it as a far distant country, more wonderful than any ever seen by mortal eyes. Here in this land of heart's desire lay the garden of the Hesperides, where a dragon guarded the golden apples that grew on a wonderful tree, which had sprung up miraculously to grace the wedding of Jupiter and Juno. In this far-off sunset land were also the Isles of the Blessed, where mortals who had led virtuous lives were transported without ever tasting of death. Here the blessed of the gods enjoyed an eternity of bliss, and wandered happily over the isles, which had a sun and moon and stars of their own, and never felt the touch of wintry winds. In this mysterious region of the west was the island of Erythea, also called the Red because it glowed in the light of the setting sun. To this spot Hercules was sent to take possession of the oxen of Geryon, a monster with 3 bodies. On his journey to the island, Hercules' way was blocked by a huge mountain, and with one blow of his strong oaken club, he cleft the opposing rock and allowed the waters of the sea to flow through. And this is how the Strait of Gibraltar and the cliffs on either side are now called the Pillars of Hercules. When the hero reached the island of Erythea, he found the oxen guarded by a giant, Eurytion, and his three-headed dog. But even this did not daunt the slayer of the Hydra. He boldly attacked the giant, and after a fierce battle in which his oak club stood him in good stead, he killed both Eurytion and the monstrous dog. And then he went in search of the oxen, and after herding them closely, drove them toward his own country. On the journey homeward, he passed Mount Aventine, where the giant Cacus lived in a rocky cave. One night, as Hercules was asleep near the mountain, Cacus the giant stole part of the cattle, and to deceive the hero he dragged them backwards by their tails into his cave. Hercules might have been tricked by this stratagem if the stolen cattle had not lowed loudly as the rest of the herd passed the cave, and so betrayed their hiding place. Hercules rushed into Cacus's giant, dark, ill-smelling dwelling, slew him, and recovered all of the stolen cattle.